Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Motor City Mad Mouse Show. I am at the Motor City Mad Mouse, and I am pleased to be joined by Sam Kirk. Glad to have you on the broadcast.
Yep, thank you, Motor City Mad Mouth. I really appreciate being on here. It's been a great week so far, and excited to talk some Senior Bowl here.
Yeah, so is this your first Senior Bowl?
This is actually, I believe, my fourth time coming here, so I've kind of a seasoned veteran in terms of this event, and I don't know if it gets much better, honestly.
Yeah, I'm a rookie at the Senior Bowl stuff, but I'm a senior otherwise, 47 years into business. So there's a restaurant named after me in Mexico called Senior Frog, baby. No, maybe not, but whatever. But and I have towels named after me called Scott Towel, but I never got a residual on any of them. There you go. That's personally the man with the tie, the man with the logo.
Yes,
so here you go. He's an anchor. He looks better than me, but it is what it is. So let's talk about the teams that you're in town covering. You're obviously from working in Yuma, Arizona. How's that going for you?
No, it's good. It's the desert Southwest, so a lot of dunes, a lot of sand, but nonetheless some sports there, and we get to cover, Phoenix stuff, San Diego stuff. So I'm here covering ASU as well as the guys from SDSU here at the Senior Bowl. So it's been a really cool experience to get to do that and, get to interview everyone else. It's a Penn State grad too as well. I got to interview 6 guys that have played for the Nittany Lions. So a really cool week thus far here.
Yeah, no, you're right. Penn State's well represented, obviously, regardless of the coaching situation that they have. Tell me what you think is going to wind up with that coaching situation and with Penn State.
I think they, got lucky heading into what was a crazy college football coaching carousel. They didn't really have a plan at the start of it. Lost out on a couple guys that I think they thought they might have had a shot at. Ended up with Matt Campbell. So not the worst of options for them, really, failing to get their top guy. I think things worked out pretty well for all they could really expect. And I'm happy to see what he can do. I think a change was needed. 10-2 is great, everything. But at the end of the day, sometimes you need to change things in order to grow and get better for the future. Not just this year, but in years future, for Matt Campbell and for Penn State.
Well, we know that the knock against James Franklin was his inability to win big games, and that's what got him a ticket out the door. Nobody's feeling sorry for him. All he did was land at Virginia Tech, and they'll probably leave him alone a little because he has a pretty good record. But let's talk about James Franklin, what he did and where he's going.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see him going to Virginia Tech. I think that allows him to continue a lot of his recruiting in that northeast coast area in the DMV and the Pennsylvania area. I think that's why he did take that job. But all in all, I don't know if they are really going to be anything crazy, especially in year one. There's some stuff like that will take time, but I think he's going to enjoy being in that ACC a little bit more than the Big Ten.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, that's tough. All right, talk about your Arizona State situation and how are things looking for the Sun Devils?
Yeah, the Sun Devils, again, U of A also having a great year as well. So both of those teams that were ultimately very successful. I know ASU is coming off that Big 12 title, so expectations coming into this year for the Sun Devils are pretty high, and for them to really surpass that was going to be, quite honestly, kind of crazy for them to do. Still a more than successful year, 7-4 record for U of A. They finished the year ranked too as well. So 2 programs now in that Phoenix, Tucson area that are becoming true football programs.
Yeah, those programs are in the Pac-12. Obviously, the Pac-12 is being reorganized. But were you sad to see them leave the Pac-12 to go to the Big 12 because of the history there?
Yeah, no doubt. I think the Pac-12 for sure just has a lot of history in it with so many great programs that, just were consistently going to play each other. We talked about this a little bit, USC and UCLA being in the Big 10. It takes a little bit to kind of see that and figure that out. But I think it does bring the best competition to one of the best conferences in the entire country. So all in all, I think it's a great move. And, it's just going to take a little bit while to get used to, especially for the Big 12 too as well. A lot of competition both in football and basketball for that conference now. So I think this will be a good thing, and I think people just have to get used to it.
2 more questions. What are your thoughts about the Miami Hurricanes run? Obviously, they came up short. Indiana didn't. Let's talk about both teams, for example.
Yeah, for Miami, I actually got to go to the Fiesta Bowl and cover that, so it was really cool getting to see what they did in person. Tip the cap to Carson Beck. What he was able to do this season, I think, was nothing short of remarkable. Again, having a lot of doubters from his previous experience at Georgia, kind of struggling in the SEC. Again, when you struggle at Georgia, it's not really struggling so much at other places. The standards are as high as it got, and the pressure got as high as it got on him, too. And I think him getting to a new spot in Miami under Mario Cristobal, I think it worked well. And what they had in Tony and what they had in that defensive line, as well as just that entire secondary, it was extremely impressive. And they took Indiana to the brinks, who was definitely the best team in college football this year, and they proved that every week. So for Miami to really put up the performance they did in the national title game. I think it shows the show that they have the right coach and they have the right culture there down in South Florida.
So does Indiana's success make people in your neck of the woods feel more confident based on what they did, and that you guys are yearning for the opportunity to get to the college playoff and try to do what they did as well as Miami?
Yeah, really. I mean, you're seeing Sig come in year one like that, hoping Matt Campbell can, not turn things around at Penn State, but, continue that success and maybe propel them even farther in, the first couple years. Because with this NIL era of college football, you can bring guys in that you didn't recruit. So it becomes a lot easier, almost like an NFL free agency, to be able to retool and re-upgrade in the offseason.
All right, one last question, and that's this. You're a recent graduate from Penn State, and you're in Yuma at the present time. Is that correct?
Yes.
How is that going for you?
It's great. The people in Yuma are great. I also get to cover stuff in the El Centro Imperial Valley area, which is kind of a suburb of San Diego. So, a lot of people there that don't get a ton of coverage. So they're very appreciative of what I do and, really try to just shed some light on some kids that might not get all the spotlight and opportunity that a lot of people that live in major cities do.
Well, we know that the Padres used to train there. And I ought to know because I went there one time and it became a costly situation. Don't want to get too many details. I don't know how many Smokies are looking for this bandit. But with that said, okay, from Yuma, I know you talked about wanting to come to Florida, but where are you looking to take your career after you're all said and done in Yuma?
I just want to be in a sports town at the end of the day. Being places like this, even, you kind of just get that history, the culture of, football. And, in South Florida, it's a little bit of football as well. So, all together, I just feel like you want to be in a place that really cares about what's going on there. And, I already am, but I'm really excited to see where I can take my talents here after this.
Yeah, you like the warm weather, right? Is that why you want to go to Florida?
Yeah, from New Jersey, so kind of try to stay away from the cold.
Well, no state income tax doesn't hurt matters either. So I'm pleased to be joined by Sam Kirk here on the Motor City Madmouth. We are here in Mobile, Alabama, the home of the Senior Bowl, with a senior and a junior talking here on the air over at the stadium. That is it Whitney Hancock?
Yep.
Whitney, I got it right this time. I've been
right.
saying Hancock,
Right.
Whitney. You could have John Hancock, you say Whitney Houston, and you still have a stadium with two guys like us in it. So with that said, we want to thank him for joining us here in the Motor City Madmouth Show. On behalf of Sam Kirk, this is Scott Morgan at the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us. Sam, welcome to the big show, brother, and I hope your career goes, as Jimmy Walker would say, dynamite!